Alright, welcome back everyone to the series nobody asked for with more A-10 training. But because it's Friday, we're doing it while drinking, because that's what we do. So today we got lesson 3, aircraft startup.
A few minutes later.
I'm going to run out of beer before this loading screen ends. Alright, lesson 3. Known threats. What? Oh no, the dreaded fuel truck.
Good morning. In this mission, we will
It's
practice
not
the
morning,
startup
but
procedure
okay.
for the A-10C. There's a lot to cover, so feel free to take a break.
Enemy spotted.
It will be important for you to follow my instructions to the letter. Do not jump ahead and start mashing buttons and throwing switches. I will guide you toward the desired control of the highlights.
Excuse me, I'm trying to learn here.
The front dash and left and right consoles. You can pan around the cockpit using your view control commands to locate the switches. If you find it hard to hear my instructions over the background noise, exit the mission and turn down the world and in-cockpit sound sliders to about 50% in the options menu.
No you.
As described in the flight manual, a pre-flight
Dude,
check
what
is normally
flight
performed
manual?
prior to startup to
Where
ensure
can
the
I find
aircraft is configured properly. However, for the purposes of this lesson, we'll begin the startup sequence with the aircraft's initial configuration set as it would be at the start of all missions. The startup procedure will consist of initiating electrical power, starting the APU, followed by the left and right engines, and finally powering up and preparing all essential avionics. Press the spacebar key when you are ready to begin.
I see. Essential avionics. As essential personnel myself, I understand this.
First, set the battery switch on the electrical panel on the right side console to power. This will provide power to the DC buses and the APU.
We're in
Follow
business,
the highlight
boys.
at the bottom right corner of the screen to locate the switch. Good. Now set the inverter switch on the same panel to standby. This will allow AC power to be supplied to numerous aircraft instruments. It will also provide power to the engine igniters. With electrical power now running, we can take a moment to test the caution and warning systems to make sure that we will receive warnings in case something goes wrong during startup. To do this, press and hold the lamp test button on the auxiliary lighting panel on the left console.
That's a lot of
Take a look
alerts.
around the cockpit while you hold down the button to make sure that
Who is
all of the
moving that?
caution lights are functional and you can hear
Why
an
isn't that
audible
clean?
warning tone.
Unacceptable!
Everything looks good. Now let's test the fuel indicator to make sure it's functional and accurate. The fuel indicator is located on the right side of the front dash. When tested, the two needles should point to 3,000 pounds, and the digital tonalizer readout should be around 6,000 pounds. On the oxygen regulator panel, set the supply switch to on, and check for oxygen flow to be indicated in the flow window.
Oh no, I haven't been breathing this whole time.
Press the Oxy-In Test Oxygen Indicator Test button to test the oxygen remaining indicator. Watch the Oxy-Low caution light on the caution lights panel to turn on when the indication falls below 0.5 liters. We also need to power the radios to communicate with ATC and mission assets. Set the VHF AM frequency mode dial to TR, transceiver. Now repeat the process for the VHF FM radio. Set the UHF radio function down to main to power the UHF radio. We are now ready to begin the engine start sequence, but let's first close the canopy to minimize the noise.
Oh, that's important.
Right-click and hold the canopy control switch to lower the canopy, or press left control plus C on the keyboard. Starting the engines will take several minutes and require a few steps. First, we need to provide power to the boost pumps of the left and right wing tanks and left and right fuselage tanks.
I like how
you will find the 4 switches on the fuel system control panel toward the top of the left console. Set all 4 switches to the up position. Before starting the engines, we need to start the auxiliary power unit, APU, which will generate bleed air used to start the main engines. As you start the APU, be ready to monitor the APU
Hello,
exhaust
brother.
gas temperature, EGT, and RPM gauges on the engine monitoring
Another
as well
brother.
as EMI panel located on the
Brother, it
bottom
is
right
me.
of the front dash.
Oh, Maryland.
Go
I got
ahead and
friends
set the
there.
APU start
Hello,
switch to
friends from
start.
Maryland.
Now let's return to the electrical panel and set the APU generator switch to the power position. This will allow the APU generator to power the aircraft and relieve the battery drain. However, the battery needs to remain on as a backup electrical source.
Beep.
While on the electrical panel and in preparation of the engine start sequence, let's also set the left and right AC generators up to power. Once the engines are started, they will begin to turn the AC generators
Still
and
not
take
on,
over
Chief.
from the APU to provide electrical power. Okay, time to crank up the left
Okay.
engine. This is a very simple process initiated simply by moving the left throttle from off to idle or pressing the right alt plus home keys. This will automatically start fuel flow, use bleed air from the APU to turn the fans, and then ignite the fuel in the combustion chamber.
So, right alt, home. We moved. Is she on? We're turning now. Okay, now what?
As the engine spools up, scan the engine monitoring instruments panel to watch the engine interstage turbine temperature, ITT,
Dude,
engine
which one
core
is that?
speed, fan speed, and fuel flow gauges. Watch for the core fan RPM to stabilize around 60% when idling on the ground. You will also notice the left hydraulic system's pressure begin to build. This will normalize between 2,800 and 3,350 psi. Once the left engine is running normal and stable, press the spacebar key to proceed.
Chief, I'm getting a warning. Also, I don't know what normal and stable is, so we're gonna go ahead and press spacebar.
We'll now repeat the process for the right engine. Once again, the engine is started by moving the throttle from off to idle, or in this case, pressing the right control plus home keys. As with the left engine,
Okay, what is
monitor
this?
the instrumentation as the right engine spools
What
up.
is that a warning?
Also watch the right hydraulic system pressure to normalize. Once you have both engines running normally at idle power, you can do a flight controls check to test the responsiveness of the controls to stick and rudder input. Test the speed brakes and flaps. Press the spacebar key to proceed once everything checks out.
Is this thing supposed to be beeping like this? Seat not armed. Okay. It's armed. Oh, there's another one. No, there's not. I don't know what to do. Spacebar.
With both engines now running and powering the left and right AC generators, we can turn off the APU generator on the electrical panel, and then the APU itself on the throttle panel.
Oh, fixed it.
Okay, now we'll power up the
Oh,
control
did it
display
turn it
unit,
off?
CDU, and the embedded GPS INS IGI systems. This will
Iggy.
begin
You
the
spelled that
automated
wrong.
built-in test bit and alignment processes for the navigation system, which you can monitor
supposed to
on
be
the
spelled
CDU display on the
YGGY,
right
thank you.
console.
Just like one of my best friends. You can't take that from me. Click, click.
Uncase the standby attitude indicator, SAI, on the front dash. To do this, turn the SAI cage knob to the left by rolling your mouse wheel down over the knob. Once uncaged, roll the wheel back to set the SAI aircraft indicator level on the horizon. Turn on the multifunction
good to
color
me.
displays, MFCDs, by left-clicking twice on the power switch for each display.
Click, 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 click.
While we are waiting for the CDU bit and IGI alignment to complete, we can continue the startup sequence. Turn on the Central Interface Control Unit, KICU, on the Armament HUD Control
Kick you.
Panel, AHCP, on the front dash. This will provide essential user interface controls to numerous aircraft
Click.
systems, including the left
Hello,
and right
blue
multifunction
screens.
color displays, MFCDs.
That's not a good sign.
The MFCDs are now on. In a few moments, they will display the Data Transfer System DTS page, which we will use to upload navigation
Defense
and
Travel
weapon
System?
configuration data saved on the data cartridge from the mission planner. Now, set the Integrated Flight and Fire Control Computer IFFCC switch to the test position by left-clicking once. The IFFCC provides weapon release calculations, attitude control, and HUD
Done.
indication.
Give me a challenge.
In test mode, the system will run a series of automated bits, which you can monitor on the HUD. Press the E&T Enter button on the upfront controller UFC to initiate the IFFCC bit. This will take approximately 1 minute. While waiting for the IFFCC to undergo the bit and the IGI system to finish aligning, let's set up our flight control systems. Set the left and right yaw and pitch SAS channels on the SAS panel on the left console to on. Now press the TO trim button to set the flight controls for takeoff trim. Let's upload data from the data cartridge. Select Load All on the left MFCD by pressing the Option Select button 10. The DTS will take about 15 seconds to transfer the data from the cartridge to the jet.
Altitude,
During this time, all
We're on the ground,
asterisks
bitch, what?
accompanying each data type on the left side of the displays will disappear. When all the asterisks reappear, the data has been transferred successfully. Once the data is loaded, set the right MFCD to display CDU data by pressing OSB 13. This way you don't have to take your head down to check CDU indication.
Yes, these
The
look like information
IFFCC
to me.
bit is now complete. As you can see on the HUD, the exit function is currently pointed to by the HUD cursor. Press the Enter key on the UFC to exit this HUD menu.
Done.
The IFCC is now displaying the ground bit menu on the HUD, where you can run a number of other bits if necessary. To exit out of this menu, press the Select Rocker key on the UFC down repeatedly until the HUD cursor points to exit again. Then press Enter to exit this menu.
Done.
The IFFCC is now displaying the main menu on the HUD, where you can set up various indication and weapon release parameters. Let's take the IFFCC out of test mode and set it to on by left-clicking the IFFCC switch one more time.
Now we're ready to kill.
Let's set the left MFCD to
Almost.
the Tactical Awareness Display TAD page by pressing OSB 15. Now load up the flight plan.
Hello, map.
Right-click the steer point switch on the AAP panel to set it to flight plan. This will set the flight route to appear on the TAD display. With our flight and navigation systems ready, we can prepare some of the combat systems for the mission. Set the countermeasure signal processor mode switch on the CMSP panel to standby. For a combat sortie, you may want to review or create some countermeasures programs, but that is for another lesson.
No, you.
Now set the 4 system select switches to on, middle position.
Flip, 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 flip. Fucking good at
Next,
this. Give me a
set the Joint
challenge.
Tactical Radio System JTRS switch on the AHCP to on. This will provide power to the Situational Awareness Data Link saddle.
Ah,
With the IGI aligned, let's select CDU
IGI.
nav mode by pressing OSB 9 on the right MFCD.
done. Give me a challenge. I
Select
pressed
the
it.
EGI as the primary navigation system on the Navigation Mode Select panel. Next, arm the Enhanced Attitude Control EAC switch on the Low Altitude Safety and Targeting Enhancement LACD panel on the left console. Note this switch is hidden under the throttle, so you may have to shift your view position to see it, but it is still clickable with the mouse. Turn on the radar altimeter. At this point, we are ready to taxi to the runway. Set the anti-skid switch to on.
Oh, it's game time now.
Now turn on the nose wheel steering by pressing the pinky button on the control stick or insert on the keyboard.
insert.
Click on the yellow handle to arm the ejection seat.
Oh boy. Well, I guess I already
Taxiing
did that.
out to the runway requires tower permission, so we will end our startup lesson here. Tomorrow you're going up. See you then.
Yeah, boy. Here we go again. We don't need no fucking tower permission. Let's do this.
Choose your fighter. Lightning inspired. Fight.